Number 5, Miami hosting number 18, South Florida. The Bulls inside the top 20 of that little poll that doesn't exactly matter. But boy, the Bulls have put a product on the field that has mattered as they've beaten two straight ranked teams. Boise State was clobbered in the opener. Last week, they outlasted the Florida Gators, a walk-off field goal from a kid named Grammatica. And now they are 18.5-point dogs once again on the road in Miami to take on the Canes. Canes are 2-0. They've looked good, certainly in that week 1 win against Notre Dame. But my storyline for this is as simple as, can USF pull off the unthinkable? In the preseason, we had billed this as probably an 0-3 slate, maybe a 1-2 start if you got lucky against Boise State. All of those things were kind of on the foundation that we knew this South Florida team was going to be better. We liked the roster moves that they had made via the transfer portal and even some of the high school recruiting. And we really liked Byron Brown getting back and healthy. The running game seems to be a factor. The defense is fast and physical. I mean, this team seems like they're as complete of a South Florida team as we've seen since maybe 2007, 2008, when the Bulls were once again in the national conversation. Now, I think this line is a little bit disrespectful to South Florida, considering the line was, 17.5 when they marched into the swamp and earned an outright win. So the question to you, does South Florida run out of gas this week, or does USF have it in them to pull off another upset?
Man, first off, I want to just say, hats off to, again, for both of these teams, two of the top three programs in Florida. Truly incredible to watch both of these programs, what they've accomplished early in this season. Miami with a statement over, Notre Dame. And then obviously with USF also knocking off a playoff team in Boise State. And then obviously the in-state, kind of banner program, Florida. That's big. That's a big deal. And both of these programs should feel really good about where they are right now. I think for me, I'm going to quote Willie Nelson and, Dandy Don Meredith here and, say, hey, they say that all good things must end. I think it comes to an end this week, unfortunately. I think they'll cover, just to be clear. I don't think that 18.5 is, like you said, it's disrespectful. I don't think that's a great line. I think that they'll cover it. Might lose by about 10. Right now, for me, my issue is that Miami has an extremely balanced offense. I think that Carson Beck's change of scenery is going to end up working out real nice for him. And even though, yes, there's nothing but momentum in this game for USF and the vibes are immaculate and Byron Brown is a problem and, USF is absolutely rolling, I still think that it's just a little too much to ask this program to go and do that 3 weeks in a row, right? To go into an environment where you're not expected to win. There's programs that are, bigger than you, maybe better funded than you at times, and then just say, hey, go and win those games each time. If we're sitting here and USF is 2-1 at the end of this week, that's a fantastic place to be. And they should get their flowers for it, and they should feel very good about where they are. Now, obviously, right now you're 2-0 and you see a real opportunity in front of you. And I respect that. Like, nobody in that locker room is thinking, well, let's just go 2-1. It was a good try. Like, nobody should be thinking that because the way that you've been playing, especially running the football, you should feel great about that, right? They've been playing real physical. I think they have the ability to kind of mash it up and get in there and get physical with them. But again, I think they're going to fight. They're going to get respected for it. But I do think Miami wins this thing. I think there's going to be some points in this one, but I do think Miami wins this one. And Carson Beck just keeps rolling with his guys.
I'm watching the trenches for USF because against Boise, they stuffed the Broncos, right? I mean, think back to that elite rushing attack that they had led by Ashton Genty. That seemed all but non existent against the Bulls. And then suddenly in week 2, it reemerged. And Boise State was extremely explosive as they picked up their first win of the season. Florida ran for 133 yards, but it was never really in a difference making capacity. It never felt like Florida was imposing their will up front, like many of us kind of expected, right? To wear down USF as that game went along. And it just never happened. The Bulls were up for the task. So, can third time be the charm? I think is the biggest question that I have. Miami certainly has an electric running game. I think that's something that they have continued to improve on. And I think that that's going to be a strength of theirs all season long. But is it enough of a difference maker to cover this spread? I'm with you that Miami is probably going to win this game. I think Carson Beck, as incredible as it sounds, is probably the best quarterback that they've faced, right? DJ Lagway did not blow us away, and he's still got a lot of learning and a lot of growing to come up with. Beck looked pretty solid against Notre Dame, and it got back to more of that 2023 version of Carson Beck that we missed under Mike Bobo's offense. Go figure. Last season, so that combined with the wide receiver core for Miami, I think that the Canes offense is going to be just a hair too explosive for USF to actually pull off this upset. But I'm not betting against the Bulls and Alex Golish and Byron Brown to not cover this spread. They might run out of gas, and that might be okay. Going 2-1 in this stretch would be fantastic, and they get to head into conference play with still all kinds of momentum and the college football playoff ahead of them. But I'm going to take them to keep this close. I think they lose probably 14-17. Miami maybe pulls away late, very similar to that Alabama game that we saw last year where the Tide had their hands full for 3.5 quarters, and it was really like the last 2 drives where Alabama kind of made it ugly on the scoreboard. That's more of what I expect, but certainly no disrespect, no slight to USF. I think they're far and away the favorite to make the playoff out of the G5 currently.
Oh, for sure. And they should still feel good about where they are as a program. My fear, I think, in this one for USF is just that they've maybe shown too much on film, and they're giving Miami everything that they need to say, like, hey, this is our game plan. This is how we plan on winning games. And that, I'd have to go back and watch the Florida game again and see, like, did they throw any extra funny wrinkles in there? But I feel like, unless they were holding back, which I can't imagine you're doing in the swamp, right? You're probably not holding back anything for the Miami game. But unless they held something back or have, like, 2 or 3 trick plays up their sleeve that they just haven't used yet, I'm wondering if they've put everything on film and that, that Miami staff is going to know what's coming. I think that's really where the issue comes here. So there's definitely a world where they muddy it up and get physical and, turn the ball over a couple of times and find their way to a win. But I just kind of think probably, I like the running out of gas. But yeah, at a certain point, it's just, it's a good team. And I think it's got a great season ahead of them. This one, probably not your game.